was something that's actually psychological here, but very relevant as a positive use, that the purification of prayer was A, about mental preparation, but B, about avoiding ego inflation. Because ego inflation makes you vulnerable, and if you go into that situation and something turns up and just flatters, and you're more likely to make a mistake. So I think part of that whole process of prayer and making yourself not become too cocky and I am the mighty mage with the biggest wand in the universe was actually very relevant, and I think that's one of the reasons it's actually built into the grimoires. So that's kind of a personal theory of mine, but I think it holds water.
Well, what about the fact that this is all very Judeo-Christian? You are calling upon the powers of God or Jesus or the hierarchy of heaven to, kind of be your spiritual authority to be able to command these entities.
So, you need to align to that.
Yeah, so what if you are somebody who doesn't believe in Jesus or God? Do you think you can do Goetic work?
Well, I think there's that aspect there of something that actually in Terry Pratchett's book is quite relevant. Whether you believe in the gods is not necessarily so important as whether they believe in you. And if they do, then they'll still respond. So, I don't think that you have to be practicing. Most people in the Western world are brought up in a Christian framework anyway, so even if they're not specifically practicing, there is still the fact that they have it in the background. They're aware, on some levels of a lot of the basics. And I think that, it's, at the end of the day, with this stuff, you're generally not calling on God to manifest. That's the realm of the macabre magicians, going back to our earlier thing of actually working through the 7 palaces to get into the presence of God, to the throne room. But calling on these angels, and even if they are part of that Christian worldview, they're immensely powerful entities. And they have, there's been a huge amount of energy and contact put in over a period of time. So I don't think it's a question of belief; it's a question of following a formula and a practice, and you will achieve the results. Whatever your initial belief might be. I think perhaps sometimes people who profess to be atheistic magicians should do evocation and start to believe in the fact that these other things do have their independent existence.
Kind of like what you said, atheism is often like, well, I'll believe it when I see it or show it to me. Well, if a Goetic demon shows up, that's pretty good indication that there's some other realm or some kind of metaphysic that you're not aware of or acknowledging.
Well, exactly. I think, I was very lucky the first group I was in formally when I was 18 or so. The guy who ran the group had a photographic memory and did evocation from memory, which was quite impressive. Just to, you pick a demon, he could call it up, which was quite stunning. And, like I say, the first time I saw that happen, it's one of the best steps you can ever have on your magical path, because there's never any doubt after that. It just makes you more and more determined to get better at what you do.
Well, let's tell people how to get a copy of this book if they're interested. How many of these did you published? A good number. You made at least 1,000 of these copies, right?
Yeah, it was 1,500, of which 250 were leather bound. So
Okay.
There's 1,250 of the normal edition.
If somebody is in the United States, who should they contact to get a copy?
Well, it's now up on Amazon.com.
Okay.
They can get it from Magus Books, and Wiser also distributing it, Red Wheel Wiser.
Red Wheel Wiser,
Yeah.
or is it Wiser Antiquarian?
I think both of them, actually.
Okay.
But Magus Books also. And
Okay. And then within Europe?
Within Europe, Gazelle, or they can get it off Amazon.co.uk, or from anywhere in the world, they can get it from Golden Hoard.
All right. And we'll have a link directly to your website. If people have questions, can they also email you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been having people email and some very interesting discussions since the series started. There's been people around the world getting in touch with us and had some ongoing dialogues, which has been nice because there's some people who are obviously very serious about what they do, and it's been a good two-way process in that some people have brought stuff we didn't know to our attention, or given us the benefit of their experience. So, if people have questions or want to relate things that have happened. We're only too happy to hear.
Okay. And you said this is the third in the series. What's the next book coming out? You have on the back cover, it says, a major grimoire never before seen in print, with hundreds of full-color pentacles.
That will be revealed. I'll tell you, you will be one of the very first to know. That should be out next year. That's something we're working on hard at the moment, but that is going to be quite stunning.
Well, that's great. How many volumes do you see in the source works of ceremonial magic?
So we're working on number 4. We're also doing another book which isn't specifically part of the series, but that we're going to do as a limited edition, which we've already referred to, which is Clavis Inferni, the Key of Hell, which is another Heptameron-derived manuscript, working specifically with the 4 demon princes of the quarters. And of the directions, I should say. And we have ideas for sort of books 5 and 6, but it just depends. When we first started collaborating, when Stephen first pulled out the manuscript for book 1 for the John Dee's Nokian tables, and showed me it and said, "Are you interested in working with me?" And I went, "Yes, please." Then here's the guy who, over 20 years before, whose book I'd read, Techniques of High Magic, got me into this stuff, and on a practical level. So, just from there, I went off and found another. He showed me, I think, Sloan 307, and I found the other one, 3821, or what I think it was, which is basically, again, another version of the same material, and then we also found it in the Bodleian. And so we keep looking and finding more stuff. So as long as we're finding stuff that we feel is of a high enough quality to put out there and will be of interest to people, then I guess the series will probably go on. As long as it is relevant source works. Other people now in the last couple of years have also been putting out very good stuff. You mentioned Ouroboros Press; they're doing some lovely work, and so as far as we're concerned, the more the better. And of course, the Den copy of the Albemelin, that was a really nice one to see coming out as well. So
exactly. A lot of these obviously are coming out of various collections in museums. I know you mentioned a number of the manuscripts that you're working with here came out with the British Library. How cooperative are they, or do you even have to inform them or get their assistance to publish these things?
Yes, you do. You have to pay for the rights for reproducing any images and things, and you have to credit them for the material that's in there. So you pay per image. So a book with a lot of images, you pay quite a lot of money.
But if you just actually get a copy of the text and transcribe it, you don't have to pay for that. You just give credit. But if you're actually using any image, you have to, obviously your whole book is, packed full of these images of the seals and everything. So that
you pay for the rights to reproduce images, but you can transcribe text and not have to pay as long as you sort of credit them and let them know before it goes into print.
Okay. And so that's where a lot of these manuscripts are coming from, of these various libraries throughout the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a shame that there's an awful lot of people who don't have easy access to these things. And that was another thing that inspired Stephen and I, that we wanted to make these really important source manuscripts available to people, and that's where the series was born from. Because not everyone can go and pop into the British Library at their convenience, or go up to Oxford, or go to the Bibliothèque Nationale, or go to Italy, or wherever it may be, to look at manuscripts. And for the people who want to practice magic, I think it's important that they have access to the material. And even in this internet age, this stuff is still not going to really be going on the web. These old manuscripts, you can't just sort of take them and start sticking photocopies of things left, right, and centre. You're not allowed to take a camera in and start snapping at a manuscript. But it has to be said that it is a wonderful feeling to sit there and be holding Dee's copy of a manuscript in your hands and going through it, or stuff by Rudd or other people, and actually have originals and sort of sit there and transcribe stuff. It's a very enjoyable sensation.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Again, I think many people are are very appreciative of the work that you and Stephen are doing in putting these books out. I know many people who are thrilled with each one that comes out. I know I am, and I certainly want to help promote each copy or each edition as it come out. They're just wonderful. So, is there anything else that you would like the listeners to know about the books?
Not really. Just read the books and then do the magic.
All right. That sounds like great advice. Again, thanks for being on the podcast and putting out these wonderful books.
It's my pleasure.
93.
93, John.
I want to express my appreciation to Niki, Keith, and David for being on the show, and to all you listeners for sticking with the podcast despite the delay. Keeping in the tradition with the previous shows, I'm going to end this one with a song. The group Kafnia was kind enough to give permission to play one of theirs, and I think their version of the Hymn of Pan from the Shapeshifter album is a great choice for today's show. I don't know about the absolute time for the next show to come out, but I assure you it will be as soon as possible. Until then, thanks again for listening to the show, and I hope you continue listening to Thelema Coast to Coast. Love is the law, love under will.
Sicily and from Arcady, roaming as Bacchus with fauns and pards and nymphs and satyrs for thy guards on a milk-white ass come over the sea to me. To me. Come with Apollo in bridal dress, shepherdess and pythoness. With Artemis, silken shod, and wash thy white thigh, beautiful God, in the moon of the woods, on the marble mount, the dimpled dawn of the amber fount, dip the purple of passionate prayer in the crimson shrine, the scarlet snare, the soul that startles in eyes of blue, to watch thy wantonness weeping through